Hello, welcome to today's Just Breathe sharing. As you know, in this series, I share about surrendering to our breath, which brings harmony and balance and allows for living in the now moment, in the flow of our essence as we tap into our inner knowingness, our inner tutor, our intuition, which is, in other words, living by the heart. Well, today I'd like to bring forth the theme of boundaries and limitations, or boundaries versus limitations. Once we come to this awareness that basically the whole world we perceive is us, it is all our energy, and it is all depending on where we are perceiving from, which point in our consciousness we are perceiving from, then we realize there is a difference between limitations, being limited, and setting clear boundaries. And the big difference is that perceiving ourselves as limited means we are at some level in separation. So, there are a few different things here. We might be feeling that limitation of being in a physical body, in a physical form, in a physical world, but know that when we tap into our inner knowingness, our safe space within, we feel and know we are free. And we also might have stepped into the knowingness that nothing is really imprisoning us. So, creating limitations depends entirely on our belief systems, on our habits, on our learned patterns, on what is ingrained in our ancestral DNA, in what we are picking up on from collective consciousness. This is what gives us the perception of separation, of being a limited human. Then again, setting boundaries is not creating limitation. It is simply an act of extreme self-respect and respect for those we interact with. For though everything in our world is us happening, even the people around us are somehow part of us because they are in our reality. They have become accustomed to relating to us in a certain way, and as we change, as we start perceiving ourselves beyond victim consciousness, beyond abuse, beyond savior consciousness, we start realizing that certain dynamics in our relating with ourselves and with the world around us, including all of the others in it, those ways eventually no longer are cohesive with our knowingness of being sovereign souled beings with access to infinite wisdom and resources. And as the same way that we are that, everyone is around us. So, though we might be interacting with people who do not know or remember this, that does not mean that they are not intrinsically source, that they are not intrinsically bestowed with all of the powers, with all of the abundance, with all of the wisdom, with all of the love that they truly are. So, as if we keep on relating in a way that somehow sets a hierarchy, that somehow has us behaving as victims or as abusers or as saviors towards anyone, or that has anyone wanting these things from us, then we are not being coherent and honest with that which we have tapped into. So, this requires, of course, setting new boundaries. It's basically letting our whole reality fit into our new place in consciousness as we evolve into other dimensions of possibility, into other dimensions of who we perceive ourselves to be and what we perceive is and is not available. So, if we do not set these boundaries, we are not only not helping energy find us where we are at, so therefore serving us in our consciousness in the moment, but we are also not allowing whoever we are interacting with to evolve beyond their perception of what they consider themselves to be limited. So, in many cases, it is sometimes very challenging to set boundaries, especially with people who are closer to us, eventually our seniors, and in also certain situations where we are not the boss, like in work, if we are working for someone. But we have to learn to be as clear, firm, assertive, and loving as our essence, our soul, our all is towards us. Notice that no matter what silliness we might have been doing, we have always been allowed to do so by our higher self, because by that sphere of consciousness, it is not perceived as silliness, it is just perceived as an experience that we are going through. Now, of course, when we invite our higher self to be the guiding light in our life, in our choices, in our thoughts, words, and deeds, then we start doing different things, thinking in a different way, speaking in a different way. It's just a natural process. And then it becomes easier and easier to set clear boundaries with love for ourselves and, of course, consequently, for everyone around us. Not compromising our truth, what we feel to be our truth within us, for anything or anyone. This is an essential element to transform the experience of life into abundance, joy, and what I call contentment, into fulfillment, harmony, and unconditional love. So if you are at the moment currently living through some sort of challenge regarding boundaries, I invite you to take a deep breath and just, after a few breaths, diving within, tapping into that serene, safe space within you. Just feel what your expanded consciousness indicates to be the path of least resistance for you to set your boundaries and therefore be even more grateful and honor life even more. So just feel into the wisdom inside of you. Through remaining in the breath, you will achieve that. Thank you. Thank you, and see you next week. By the way, you can find many free compassionate breath practices in my Insight Timer page under the name of Tanya Castillo, LHO at the end. And also on my YouTube channel. Bye-bye. See you next time.